In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
You ever watch something that makes you feel special with no expectations, and then finally watching it and you kind of say to yourself, wow, that kind of deserved more than it had? And well, that's what The Critic is to me. The Critic is a 1994 animated series that started on ABC, then moved to Fox, and then became webisodes. That started Jay Sherman, a film critic that has his own show called The Coming Attraction, with his day-to-day life. This can be from family issues, and from a laugh slap, from a fast slap, that's a...
Just what do you call this?
I had these made to lighten up your show.
The series being a comedy and a subject being films, it uses a lot of the source as its humor. This could be from Willy Wonka, The Godfather, Orson Welles,
or a jug. And now for a little magic, I will make this jug disappear.
And even using the pop culture of that time period. And with it being produced by two prominent people of 90s television, Al Jean and Mike Reiss. As the story behind the creation of this show, the show was originally created with the idea of using Matt Groening's design to create a spin-off of Krusty the Clown.
What the hell was that?
The pictures would become more and more similar into the forming of a Critic series. Krusty would be a single father in New York, with a pricky makeup lady and an eccentric boss resembling Ted Turner. Groening turned it down because the idea instead wanted Krusty spun out to be a live-action series. And with the year of the series, Jean and Reiss, with the idea of a morning television kind of being a sitcom and getting John Lovett to voice the main character, he said no, it's not because it was a bad idea, but it was because of scheduling issue. And it became an animated series, so you can imagine how that can be. Hello everyone, it's time to watch something is a movie. It's Sting, but the series will get a world premiere on primetime TV with its first 13 episodes and getting canceled. That would make Fox to do this series with a shameless plug with The Simpsons.
You badmouthed MacGyver, didn't you?
A Star is Burns. It was so shameless, Matt Groening decided to not put his name on the episode. With the show being treated like a middle child in a lot of ways, let's talk about how episodes are structured. I'll use an episode that I think personally a viewer would be interested in the series, and if you're wondering if this is going to be how those King of the Hill YouTubers are, no, this is not how it's going to be. But I can make it like that. Ew. After some divorce jokes in Jay's time in school, we'll get into the meat of the sandwich of this episode, is that Jay's son Martin, or Marty, has a career day at his school, well, and then besides the era of satire like the president elected, and other things about World War II, artists, and a Yankees reference because the kid is Spanish speaking. We get to see where this episode will go for the rest of the episode, with Marty getting a crush on a girl named Carmen, and us, the viewers, get to learn that Carmen's grandfather actually controls Cuba. But after some political jokes about
Simmies,
Release the falafels!
shenanigans, Marty starts to wanting to impress Carmen, and Jay gives him advice, but listen, are you gonna take advice from a bear that likes key lime pie?
I don't think it's a man. I think it's a bear that likes key lime pie.
But as they go on a date and a movie, and after the joke about Jay Sherman loving French films,
I like French films, pretentious, boring French films.
Jay actually does give some good advice for boys out there. You don't have to be the best looking guy or have the most money if you can get her to like you and get something that she doesn't have but she'll need. You know, think like glass cleaner. Let me put it like this. Don't take it serious until it feels like it's taken serious. Now, that doesn't mean that, you know, to just treat everything as it is what it is, but just treat it like you're getting a new friend. And you know what, if the relationship doesn't work, then guess what, you actually have a decent friend that you can be around. Oh wait, what am I talking about? Oh yeah, don't give her just glasses cleaner. Just anyways, things went south with the date because when you have a bear chaperoning you, yeah, this is more prone to happen. But what does a boy do since he's love struck? Well, he goes where she's going. As Carmen's going back home, Marty decides to sneak into the plane and he gets caught. And now it more turns into the direction of, as now the story goes in this route, that Marty is now in Cuba without that bear chaperone to actually talk to Carmen and not trying to, be super impressive and actually genuinely have a heart-to-heart, and the other way around with Jay getting Marty.
I'd bananas.
And also getting a new wife. With the episode ending with Carmen staying in Cuba, we get jokes about Fidel Castro and, all the things about that era of time. Not the missile crisis, though. None of that. But JFK jokes. Mind-blowing. And we also get this thing for Marty that for the next time that he tries to get a girl, he has to, he has to be more assertive in ways. Because guess what? At the end of the day, who doesn't like fuck it, we ball in mindset? A lot of jokes in the series.
The Critic.
Hello, I'm Jay Sherman. Please don't give away the horrifying twist in this week's episode.
What terrifying secret makes the Critic say?
Hachi Machi.
And, as well as, find out on the Critic, part of America's comedy team before Home Improvement Wednesday.
And with this kind of series, with the backbone being, parodies and pop culture references, it actually does a really good job what I think The Simpsons did, where it's more poignant with how it does its parodies compared to The Simpsons, with The Simpsons more being that it's about the character than the parody, where they also do the thing with the status quo of things, but it's nothing in the way of how a lot of other shows would do it. The Simpsons are more structurally parody, where you can actually genuinely get the joke because you're knowing the movie source. It's more that the Critic does the thing in like Family Guy where they'll bring it up and then just bring it down, where when they do episodes that are very slap in your face knowing what's going to happen, like the episode Song for Margot, with the main plot being that this grunge band moves into the estate near the Shermans, where Margot falls in love with Johnny Raff that looks suspiciously like someone that we know of. But basically the episode goes as Margot falls in love, pretty much understands what happens in breakup as a side plot. We'll get into the side plot whenever I want to. But basically, she finds out that Johnny Rath is cheating and so far and so forth. And well, since Margot's not really the main character of a lot of these episodes, it's kind of just taken under the rug. It's not like with The Simpsons where things have to follow right back in, or it's nothing so drastic that it's going to be changed in the series forever. This is just a blurb in a show that has to be in the sense of episodic. And that also takes me to the character of Jay Sherman, where I can fully say this about Jay Sherman is that in a smug town full of smug people doing something that is smugged, he's actually not as smugged as you would think for a show being called The Critic.
Oh no, you have a weird voice. I knew it was too good to be true.
And yes, with, being friends with a guy named Jeremy Hawk, getting all the babes, and all those other things, you think that he'd have some crass in him, but actually not really when you compare to everyone else around him. If anything, it kind of says that the typecasting would be terrible, because if anything, if Jay Sherman was in any other show, he'd be the one that would be snarky. He would have been the one that everyone would have just said, "Just shut up." But actually, when you're in a world where everyone is just being the same way or just not caring, yeah, that happens to become the main character of the whole series. When polo wearing Ted Turner makes you look like you're the more reasonable one in a lot of things, that says more a lot about
California, kiss your smoggy butt goodbye. New England, you're going back to old England.
Let's talk about design. With these quick run of runaway gags and set pieces, there's a lot of things that I actually will appreciate about this show. The show really emphasizes that 90s look that a lot of shows that base themselves in New York, like Seinfeld and Friends, especially without the gloom and the shades of gray, it actually looks livable in a place where I would actually love to go around. With a lot of these places just having that sense of, not home, but I would say comfortability. And the other side of that ballpark is character designs. And I may be showing a lot of season 1 footage here, but Oh God, what did they do to Jay Sherman in season 2? Look, I get what happens with designs and design philosophy, especially with people to do the same things over and over, but I don't get how season 1's Jay Sherman and the rest of his family looks like they would look better in season 2, while season 2 Sherman family looks like they would be the beta of the character design. And these character designs don't look bad, it's just that they look off sometimes, especially when you see Margot from season 1 and then you see Margot here and you're just saying to yourself, what happened? And you know, I get it. When you're making a design that's supposed to be more human to the appearance and then try to make them more, I guess I'd say marketable, but that's not how I would really put it. Especially when you're looking at characters from season 1 getting the redesign to season 2, you kind of just more feel like what you're just saying, 1, what happened, and 2, I think they did too much with this. I think the best way I would compare this is seeing the readaptations of those Hanna-Barbera shows that came out in the 2000s. It's nothing very different, but it's once you start noticing the little things and more of the things that gave it more charm, you kind of just say to yourself, man, this kind of don't work. And that does nothing wrong for season 2, because season 2 actually has a lot of my favorite episodes, actually. Like All Dukesmen, Sherman of Aberry, and even for the season 2 premiere, Sherman, Woman, and a Child. And that actually makes me talk about these two new characters, Alice and Penny. And for season 2, they actually do bring a good dynamic with the fold of things, but it's mainly with the questioning of the show becoming more of a teaser of a will they won't they with Jay and Alice, as Alice, a recent divorcee, kind of gets herself to New York because guess what is she going to do? Because guess what, her ex-man, a country singer, was cheating on her, and I don't know how blatant you can get without her noticing. And that being the bigger question of the show, we get some answers, but we're not going to talk about that just yet. We got to talk about A Star Is Born with if this is not the most shameless episode to be a cash grab for Fox. So the story of this is pretty much after ABC canceled the show, they decided, and I'm saying they as Fox, to snag it up and grab it so they can put it on their show, because with the hype of The Simpsons and them having their own thing going on around that time, who wouldn't do it? And so they told Matt Groening and the Simpsons crew, we gotta make a crossover with this. And honestly, this is actually not a bad episode, because guess what? Al Jean and Mike Reese are part of the Simpsons. You know that they can get this down with this. And honestly, this episode is the most Simpsons episode I can say for a character being crossed over. And the biggest thing about that it's not a bad thing, but when the show is more similar to each other, it kind of damages it, because now when people are going to be watching The Critic, they're more going to be saying, this is a spin-off of The Simpsons, right? But it's an episode about Jay Sherman's job and, reviewing films. The movie that Barney makes, Ned makes a movie, and even the football joke originates from here. And to say that this helped them for season 2, yeah, it didn't. And so the show was dormanted for a few years, not because of production. Well, the main reason is that without getting an issue for season 3 and a lot of projects coming in and getting stuff done, and this not being a Fox project, this kind of just becomes a thing where it's just be limbo. They still have the property, but they finally use it in 2000 and 2001 making webisodes. I hate how that sounds. But, and this not being, how current internet is, where you can just watch all these and just enjoy yourself. This is going to get a cult following and all that. No, this is for the people in the 2000s that had dial-up internet.
Come on. Oh!
And even before this stinking app, we had message boards where, hey, at least those were more fun, I can probably say. But how are these as webisodes? Yeah, they're bad. I'm being real with you. Listen, all these episodes, for being 3 minutes, they usually have the same plot point. J.A. reviews a movie, that it ends, and we meet a new character named Jennifer. And in the first one, we learn that the relationship that Jay had with Alice kind of went to the soft side and he hasn't been feeling himself. And so Jay tries to put a move and it doesn't work out. And so it keeps happening every episode until the last one where Jay makes a feel-good moment and realizing that he kind of fucked up there because Jennifer actually said that, oh, I would have slept with this date, but you made me feel so great about myself that I don't want to now. And so the ending of the episode is just literally the same thing of Jay trying to convince her to sleep with him. And again, it's another style change. And this one looking more better with this idea of season 1, actually. Like, this just gives me an aneurysm. Like, you go back to 2 more drastic styles and you do this. I don't know what they were thinking with this for making her looking like this, but if you're going to make someone like Jeremy Hawk look like this, then you gotta continue the same way. And Jennifer isn't a bad character or anything, it's just that when you're doing this, I feel like if she was in the original series and not just here, it would have felt a little bit more satisfying. Like if she was just a drawn character that we didn't notice, but you know, she would have gotten a piece of the pie now. But just make a Shrek reference and leave. And you know what, watching all these kind of just made me realize that I think that if the Critic was genuinely given a chance, like of a lot of shows that had to change stations like Futurama, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or a lot of other shows that had to be moved from station to station, I think it would have at least maybe gone 2 more seasons. Because a lot of ways that the show definitely did have charm and character, but I think the bigger problem in a lot of things is it kind of averaged itself too much to The Simpsons, where if The Simpsons were out, I think this would have been more appreciated, but since The Simpsons were at its heyday and at its peak, you weren't going to be stopping that, and the only thing that you're going to be doing is becoming junk food at the end of the day, because people would have been watching The Simpsons than The Critic. And in a lot of ways, it is just a spin-off to The Simpsons after all. You've picked up 2 guys from The Simpsons to produce a show that was originally going to be for The Simpsons, but then change it to be more something that is revolving around The Simpsons. You kind of just say to yourself that this is just a spiritual part of the series. And that doesn't say in a lot of things. In some ways that Futurama is part of The Simpsons. And that's not just because Matt Groening created it, it's because that it uses a lot of elements that The Simpsons would use and put it in its own twist. But really, in a lot of ways, I think what I would say overall about The Critic is this. It's a definitely charming show that definitely, and I will say this in the best of tone, deserved its spotlight, but just couldn't get bright enough for everyone to notice. Hi, so I hope that this don't feel weird, because I've been sick for the past couple days and I actually started to record word for these, and this is how the best I feel. I still have like mucus in my throat and whatnot, but that's getting into too much of details. But I really hope that you appreciate this video. I still have things to just figure out for October and November, but if you enjoy this video, give it a like. If you don't like it, give me the engagement though. Please give me a subscribe. I hope you have the best of the rest of your day. Bye. Like, I don't get it how you literally have Margot looking like a normal person here, but then when season 2 comes along, she looks like somebody hit a piece of Play-Doh with a bat, and then they try to recreate it, but they were rushing and it just looks absolutely terrible. What the actual hell is this?